Hi, I'm Angela Chase. I am a radio personality in Dallas-Fort Worth, and if you are wanting to survive in radio and build a career, here are some dumb things that you should not do, and I do have a few tips for getting ahead. So a lot of these are going to apply to the promotions department. That is an entry-level position. It has been baffling to me, some of the things that I have seen people do or not do. And I think that a lot of these rules can also apply to other industries. So I'm going to start with something that I think is common sense, but still people make this mistake, and these are your social media posts. And I'm not talking about the typical, don't post overtly sexy photos of yourself. Don't post pictures of yourself drinking or doing anything illegal. I'm talking about the things that you are posting during the workday when you were supposed to be focused on work. True story, I had a coworker once who was not in an entry-level position who posted that they were bored, and it was like 2 o'clock on a Tuesday. Well, our boss saw that post and thought, well, if you're bored at work, then maybe you need to find another job. And I would say within 6 weeks to 6 months, that person was no longer employed there. So if you're at work, you need to be focused on work, and you need to really consider what you're posting on social media and how often you are on social media. Number 2, drinking on the job. I think this one is especially hard for those who are in promotions because you are working at a party a lot of times, but you're also operating a station vehicle. So if you are drinking, then you take the station vehicle and you get a ticket, or you're involved in an accident. I mean, this is major no-no, especially if people get injured. I mean, the company can get sued, and believe it or not, corporations do not enjoy getting sued. So it is a very good idea to just go ahead and heed the rules. Do not drink. If this is a job that is really important to you and you really want to get ahead, that drink is not important. It can wait. If you can show that you have enough self-control to make it through a 2 or 4 hour appearance without having a drink, then you do have a shot at getting ahead. And I know it's a very simple rule, but it is one that I have seen broken over and over again, and I have seen a lot of college students lose their jobs, and they're getting a degree in radio, television, film, and they end up, before they ever even graduating, just really kicking themselves because they couldn't obey this one simple rule. Another thing to keep in mind when operating station vehicles, and that is if you get a ticket while you are driving a station vehicle, and this is whether you're drinking or not, a lot of times that is grounds for immediate dismissal. So one little trick that I did whenever I did promotions, I was always working with boys, and they always wanted to drive, and I let them because I thought, well, I am putting myself at a lesser risk for losing my job if I'm not behind the wheel to begin with. So don't get tickets, make sure that you're using your signals, don't speed, and definitely do not drink on the job. Number 3 is tardiness. Time is God in radio. I mean, think about it, especially if you're on the air. If you end up missing a talk break, you can never go back and reclaim that moment. Once it's gone, it is gone forever. So if you want a job in radio, or if you want a job in media, you really need to appreciate and understand the value of time. And the thing is, when you've got these entry-level positions like promotions, you may think that nobody's paying attention to what you're doing, and that is simply not true. They are paying attention to you because these are the positions that they look to whenever they want to promote. Radio is definitely an industry where there's a lot of promotion from within. You like to get to know somebody, get to know their work ethic. And so if you have an employee who shows up early, they've got a great attitude, they're really positive, you enjoy working with them, they're presentable, then that is where you're going to get a lot of opportunity. Think of your entry-level course as a freshman weed-out course, because believe it or not, there are a lot of eyes that are on you. Which brings me to number 4, and that is just being generally sloppy. So if you are in the promotions department and your job is to show up to an event. You've got to set up all the equipment to get the sound system running so that when the talent arrives, they can just do their thing. Then you need to be on point. You need to make sure that you are wearing your station t-shirt. I've actually shown up to events where the promotions people were wearing t-shirts promoting a sister station. I did not like this. I told them they needed to dig into the tub and find a t-shirt that represented our station. I thought that was completely unacceptable. You need to not be on your phone. Your job is to greet listeners. And if there's no listener, then you just need to stand there and look attentive and think about the fact that the client could be watching you. If you are at a phone store or you're at a car dealership, then the client is potentially there and they're watching to see what you're doing, and you want to represent your station to the best of your ability. Another thing that drives me crazy, and you don't really see this as much anymore because people don't smoke as much, but if you are at an event, for heaven's sake, do not smoke a cigarette. If you have such a problem with nicotine that you can't go 2.5 hours without smoking, then, I don't know, get a Nicorette gum, get a patch, but do not smoke a cigarette on the job. Or if you absolutely must, walk away where the client and the listeners cannot see you, and make sure you've got some sort of a lotion, that you wash your hands, that you don't end up smelling like smoke. It is so unprofessional. You also do not want to eat on the job. I think having water, totally acceptable, totally fine. Now, some of my tips for you if you're wanting to get ahead in radio are to get noticed. So if you're in the promotions department, a lot of people really and truly are watching you. Maybe not at first. Well, actually, they are watching you at first because they want to see how you're doing once they've hired you on. But they do continue to watch you. They want to make sure that you're on time. They want to make sure that you maintain a good attitude, that you're following the rules. One thing that I feel like was really key in my growth in radio and getting out of the promotions department within, I think it was 8 or 9 months, was that I made an impression with the AEs, with the salespeople, the ones who put these events together. I had salespeople that would request that I work their events, and I had a girlfriend who also got requests for events. And so we were able to, work a lot, but we were also able to get ahead. So just be mindful of the fact that there are eyes that are on you, and even though the salesperson may not be able to be your ticket into getting a promotion, or maybe you don't want to go into sales, that we all talk, we all know each other, we all work together, and so they could actually end up giving a referral or a recommendation, or your boss is going to notice that these salespeople are requesting you, and so that makes you look really, really good. Now, if you're going into radio, you may or may not know which path you want to take. I mean, I've seen it both ways. Some people come in and they're sure, they know they want to be on the air, they know that they want to do marketing, and other people just get in. I was actually one of those people who got into radio. I didn't know it was going to turn into a career for me, but I really, really enjoyed it, and so I kind of kept an open mind, and I got to know a lot of people. But if you can figure out who you think you would want to work for, you could see a sales manager that you may want to work for and possibly a program director. Get to know them. And I don't mean bombard them and be kind of weird and creepy. I think that there are some people who get really gung-ho and they just start in their first week and they're like, hey, I really want to shadow you and I really want to have a meeting with you, but you haven't really established yourself or built any rapport. So stick around, work hard, get the people around you to notice you, and start to slowly build your relationships. Figure out who you think you might want to work for. Make sure that you say hello to them. Just a quick, hey, how's it going? And as you start to build a relationship with them and they start to trust you and they start to respect you, then you can request a meeting. Talk to them about what you think your future goals might be. Ask them about their own history and any advice that they may have. So maybe you can get a lunch, maybe you can just get a quick meeting with this person, but I would say definitely make sure that you establish rapport before you request that meeting, because you're also being mindful of the fact that they are extremely busy, and meeting with you is, it's a big deal for them. And finally, never say no. The issue with radio is, especially if you're talking about the programming departments, there are far less jobs available for the people who want to fill them. So if you can prove that you are an extremely diligent, hard, capable worker, then you really have a big future. So one of the best pieces of advice that I got was never tell your assistant program director no. The assistant program director is probably one of the hardest working people in the radio industry. They are responsible for so much. They are probably working 6, if not 7 days a week. And if they need assistance with something, it is really to your benefit if you can tell them yes. So if that means working additional hours, if that means taking time off a different job so that you can do this, you are showing them how dedicated you are, and you're really opening up the door for a lot of growth. So there you have it. Just a few of the dumb things that I've seen people do to get themselves fired from radio, and also a few tips and tricks. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them below, and thank you so much for watching.